Beth Standlee is a favorite speaker at Bowl Expo. She's been here for years. She's an instructor for BPAA Bowling Management School and the Entertainment Center Management School. As the CEO of Trainertainment, she's committed to helping the people who engage in training of any kind grow their sales and their people. If you've ever attended a Beth Standlee presentation, you know that the energy she brings is filled with fun training that will produce serious results. Today's topic will help you stop telling people about your product and give you a format to teach each employee how to start selling. Beth has most recently presented to the 10-Pin Bowling Association in Canada. She's a guest speaker in Paris, France this year at the IAAP APA Europe, and is absolutely devoted to the bowling industry and us BPA members, and it shows as she crosses from state to state, helping us out with education and many other BPA events. I want to welcome you, my friend, Beth Standlee.
Well, good morning. I am delighted to be here. Of course, Bowl Expo is a favorite thing we do all year. And I just want to take a minute to thank you and to recognize you. If you're here at Bowl Expo for the first time, would you please stand up? Let us see you. Give these people a big hand. Aren't you smart? You came to Vegas. They had crazy 8 o'clock classes. Did any of you make those? Whew. I'm so pumped I got the 10:15 slot. Yippee. If you are an owner of a facility and you've invested your time, your energy, all your money, and practically your life into the business of bowling, would you stand up and please let us see you? Wow. Give these people a giant hand. It's just phenomenal, isn't it? What you do, what you dream, what you make available to all the people that work for you and that serve you and that live in your communities. It's fantastic. I have goosebumps on my head just thinking about your contribution to the people that you serve. And thank you. It honors me for you to be here. It's just fantastic. Now, if you're a manager or a supervisor in the building and you're doing all the work, of course you are, right? And thinking, oh, I worked 60 hours last week? That didn't even occur to me. All you managers and supervisors, please stand up. And you'll notice many of those are the same ones that stood up as owners. Thank you so much. Give these people a big hand. I have to tell you the truth. I saved the best for last. I love salespeople. I love the people that are making it happen in the building. You guys are the ones doing the blood, sweat, and tears. You know what fascinates me? In a center that makes the investment in having a salesperson, inside sales or outside sales or a sales manager, centers that get focused, it probably wouldn't surprise you that centers that do that have more sales. Does that surprise you? You may call them the lead coordinator at your place. I'm telling you, if you invest in sales people, inside and outside sales people, and begin to really develop some sales methodologies, which is what we're going to practice and show you today. I'm going to show you the easiest way in the world to sell. Who can get excited about that? Okay, good. So if you're a salesperson, if you're a dedicated sales team member in your organization, please stand up. Absolutely, Christy. Stand up. Stay standing. Give these people a giant hand. Stay up. How many of the rest of you know that you better be selling every day or you're unselling in your facility? All of you, get right back up. One time. Okay, you can stay. Thank you very much, guys. Is there anybody here new to a Beth Standlee presentation? Oh, you guys give them the rules. When you hear a great idea, you should. See how well trained they all are? If something's funny, please don't embarrass me and you and the rest of the room by making it an awkward moment. That silence is horrible. In case I give one of those things that should have been funny that doesn't play off well, I'll do what we would call in Texas a knee slapper, and you just rear back and laugh. You'll lose weight and you'll live longer. Let's do it together. She had very good newbie up here in the front, by the way. Much better than some of you originally. We're going to talk about one of my favorite topics today. I'm technically challenged. Okay. Hey, Sherry, you want to stand up here and be the clicker girl? Ladies and gentlemen, meet Sherry Howell. Trainertainment, Sherry Howell. Thank you. Click. So, Sherry, what I'll do is I'll just point at you and click. Okay, great. We'll work together on this. How many of you always, every day of your week, every day of the week, every day of the month, come up with alternative measures to get the job done? Good. I'm in amidst friends. I love it. So what is it? What is the CQPC? It is my very simple method of selling, and let me share with you, and I'm going to really emphasize this today. You got to do it in this order. Have you ever had somebody call you on the phone or stop by at the center, and they run up to you and they say, "Hey, Jim, I'm Beth. Hey, nice to meet you. Listen, I've got a great product I'd like to show you, and I really want to spend just about 5 minutes with you today. I'm from the Xerox company, and we've got a fantastic way to help you save some money. You got a few minutes for me?" No. Did you hear what he said? No. No. So this is not that. There was a specific way. Why is everything in the way? There's a specific way to approach people and to deal with people. And I have found this to be true, whether I'm dealing with an employee, thank you, Jim, whether dealing with an employee and trying to win them over to my way of thinking, or trying to sell something, or trying to get my sweet husband to mind me. Girls, you're going to love this, I promise. So you're going to do things in a specific way. And you want to do them in this order, because what I did with Jim was present. You know, I kind of like sales vomited all over him. And I can share with you it doesn't work. How many of you have found yourself doing that? Like you're at a networking thing and you just start going blah, 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 blah. Here's a clue. If you know that you talk too fast or you're out of breath, you probably did it the wrong way, okay? So that's kind of a clue. We're really going to talk about qualification. In my opinion, qualification is the key to great sales, because when you find out what somebody wants and sell them that, well, why wouldn't they buy it, right? Presentation, it's fun. I've got some fun facts to share with you there. And then, of course, closing the sale really ought to be the favorite part. And for those of you that are a different personality than mine, you'll love the win. It's the thrill of victory. It's the closing. For me, it's the game and it's the playing and all that kind of stuff. And we're all made just a little bit different, right? You'd be like me. Okay. All right. Oh. So it's not a slick sales technique. How many of you know this guy right here? Have I got a deal for you? It's not that. Can you see me doing that? What would be wrong with that? Everything, yes. And you're not listening to the customer, you bet. And it wouldn't be very genuine, would it? People know when you're faking it. Scripts are fantastic. Understanding what you want to say and being prepared to say it. That's wonderful. And it's got to sound like you. You know, you got to get comfortable. It's not just about networking or building relationships. And this is my favorite, being a people person. Who here has ever interviewed for a sales position? Interviewed somebody for a sales position? Yes, and what's the first thing they always say? What? I'm a people person. I wish I had $1. I wish I had a dime for every time somebody who wanted a sales job told me they were a people person. I almost start laughing, you know, because I want to say, well, what kind of people? And what does that mean? You know, because you're annoying me right now. Because don't some people annoy you, especially salespeople? You know, we have this button. You turn us on, and we're talking, and we can't shut up. That's perfect for somebody to build a training company, don't you think? That was good. It was... Okay. All right. It's all about all areas of sales. Go ahead. It's a real friendly, consistent approach. For me, what happens is, when I really got focused against being intentional about my selling process, can you imagine that my sales exploded? When I made sure that I connected and I really qualified and asked enough questions so that I really understood what people wanted and got less focused on what I wanted to tell them and more focused on what they needed, can you bet when you start doing things in that order that your sales can really improve? And it's a great discipline because I've never met anybody that was a business owner, a sales professional that was, when they're passionate and moved by their experience and by what they do, you just ooze that out, right? You want to talk about your stuff and you want everybody to know because you love what you're doing. And that's real cool. But the buyer is really what you gotta love. And when you really focus on that buyer and getting tuned in with what they love, then you can marry what you love to what they want, and it makes it fast and easy. Who would like to close sales faster? You know, you get that buyout. You get that $5,000 or $10,000 event, and you're thinking, hot dog, you bet. League, you don't get to bowl tonight. I'm putting this $10,000 event in. And you want to close it. And you'd like to close it sooner than later. If you'll do it this way, that's what can happen. Why do you need a sales method? Well, because, look, if your mechanic oiled the lanes every day and just did whatever he felt like one day to the next, what would happen? You would. She said, oh my gosh, we'd be out of business. You would. Your mechanic has a method to what he does, what kind of oil he uses, and how he oils the lanes. This is not different. I don't know why people think sales is like this magic thing that only a few people can do. Isn't it fascinating? Did you see how few people stood up when we said, who's a salesperson in your facility? What do we have, 12, 15 of you? We had a lot more business owners stand up than that. And so it takes one of you and 30 other people to run the business. It fascinates me. Listen, if you want to do this, you stand out in the crowd. And if you'll do it this way, you can be the best that's out there. Every sales objective should have every sales activity should have an objective. And you'll see that unfold as we do this. You want to be effective and efficient. My friend Laura back there knows I can't hardly stand to waste time. You know, if I get lost, I'm so frustrated because of the waste of time and what could I have done in those minutes. And so I really respect and value. We got the same thing going on right there. Yeah. I respect and value other people's time and mine too. I want to be the most. I want to be present right with you while I'm with you. And then I need to go on to the next one and the next one. And you've got to do that too with your sales and growing your business. It's time to stop telling and start selling, because here's what I think happens. You guys are super good at being nice to people and about getting information to them, right? Somebody says, hey, can you tell me about your group events? And you say, oh, we've got this, and we've got this. And then we don't know what to say, right? How many of you found yourself in that situation? Or you hear your desk do it all the time and things like that. And so that's what I want to do for you today, is take you from just telling people about your product, just going out there. I think telling people about your product is marketing. Would you agree? You know, like if you're getting brochures out and if you're doing mailings and if you're doing e-blasts, I think that's powerful. And I think that's marketing. And I think it can result in sales. But what I'm going to show you today is very specifically connected to you selling and you making more money. And so I just ask you to repeat after me. If it's true for you, I want to make more money. Okay, well then I think we've got the right presentation this morning. Before you get started, I'd ask you to write this down, and this presentation will be posted on the Bowling University site at the end, and there are several resources for you. We brought you a bunch of free stuff today. We're going to have a drawing at the end, and all of these resources are available to you through the Bowling University website, because the PowerPoint will be there. I love this. I love this company. I love how they teach selling. Thad, who's on our sales team, hi Thad. Thad, who's on our sales team, and myself have both been through the Action Selling program. And one of the things I would encourage you to do is to go out here and take this selling skills assessment, because one of the things you'll find out about you is you'll find out where you're particularly strong and where you're particularly weak. Do you connect with people well? Because I think most people in our business, if you're in a hospitality business, you're a pretty good people connector. So that first one is pretty easy. The qualification, maybe, maybe not. You may be awesome at presenting. You may be terrible at closing. That's where I had to do the most work. So those of you in here that were salespeople, you must go do this. It's free. It's a newsletter. You just sign up for a newsletter, and you get this report back. And I think it's a real valuable tool for you. Go ahead, Sherry. So the thing that I want you to think about is, what do you want to be known for? If somebody described you as a salesperson, what would you want them to say? And you might even just jot that down. If somebody's talking about me, what would I want to be known for? Is there anybody in the audience that would be willing to say, I mean, you know me in this industry for a long time as a salesperson. Is there anybody in this audience that'd be willing to throw out a word or two describing me? Yes. Energetic, thank you. Honest and friendly. Fun. Knowledgeable, positive. Effort. I'm loving it. Keep going. Empathetic. I've walked in your shoes. That's fantastic. Let me. Dog. He said a people person. Well, I am. You know, I hate this right here. Okay, so salespeople, did you see what just happened right there? I'm going to encourage you to go home and ask the people around you. Go ask your customers. If you had to describe the job that I'm doing and give me some words, what would they be? Because that's pretty powerful, because I promise you, I never thought of effervescent. I got to look that one up. Susie, would you help me with that? That's pretty fabulous. And it will help you, and it'll help you feel better about what you're doing, and it would help you know what people want. Because listen, if I stood for slick and smarmy, I would be pretty upset, because that's not what I mean to be, right? Okay. What do you believe a client is buying? And I'll ask you this. When people buy events or bowl league or buy a bowling ball at the pro shop, when people buy things from you, what do you think they're buying? Trust. They're buying trust. Trust about what?
About the product that you're selling them. They want to know, they're asking for your opinion on it.
Okay. That's right. They want trust. What else are they buying? When they're buying an event or bowling in a league or booking a birthday party at your center, what are they buying? Experience, yes. Yes. Fantastic. That's great. You know, I had the opportunity to attend Cubica's, they had an event on Sunday, and they've done a huge amount of research with people and have gone out and asked customers, why do you go outside of the home in order to have leisure and entertainment? And the top 3 answers were that they wanted to relax, they wanted to socialize, and they wanted to have fun. Does that sound like something that's going on at your place? So let me tell you something. When you're talking with a client, a prospective customer about bowling, know that they want fun, they want to be able to socialize, and they want to relax. Your stuff is just what they do to get that. I think that's extremely powerful. And then one of the things that we found out at Trainertainment is that it is hard to get people to answer the phone. Is there anybody here that would be brave enough to say, at my center, I'm pretty sure we're missing some opportunities because we missed the phone? Yeah, thank you for being very brave. We have a shopping program where we call the book, we train them how to follow the sales process and to book birthday parties, and then we check on them. And we only call 3 times, and then they get a failed attempt, because our thinking is a customer would never, ever even call back a 3rd time. Do you think you would? If you tried to get some service from somebody and you had to call them 3 times and couldn't get through, would you call again? No, of course you wouldn't. All right, so let's look at connection. It's cute. I just want to recognize, he'll kill me here, Dave Patton. Raise your hand in the back. Is this the cutest PowerPoint you've ever seen? Yeah, go ahead and give him. That's our e-learning guru in the back that helped me with my presentation today. Thank you, Dave. So connection. Go ahead and click that, Sherry. So you want to be polite, obviously, and introduce yourself. I'm a big fan, and of course I live in the South, of always saying, I'm Beth, and if I can see your name tag or if I see their name plate on a desk, I would always say Mr. or Mrs. or Mr. or Ms. first. Most of the time people will say, oh, please call me Sam or whatever. Go ahead. Be confident and break the ice. We have this new gentleman that we hired at one of the centers that we coach, and he's young, and he's so awesome. And he's confident, but not overly confident. There's that real fine line between confident and cocky or arrogant, and you got to really watch that. Well, Gene is like definitely not there. He's so polite that he almost seems tentative. And in the last 4 months, oh my gosh, just with great practice, he's so fantastic. And you can hear it in his voice. So your people need to practice. They really do. And you may need to let them role play and practice with you. You want to talk easily and not be too chatty. So here's one of my challenges. I can be real friendly real quick. So I could walk up to this lady, Christy, play with me. Okay. Hey, I'm Beth.
Hi, Beth.
Hi, you are?
I am Christy.
Christy, gosh, it's so good to meet you. And I can get too close in her face, and I'm a toucher, and I can get too overly friendly. And hello, that annoys some people. It took me 30 years to get that figured out, but I think I got it now. I knew Christy loves it. Christy liked me to touch her, so I could get away with that. So you have to be real careful. And I think, again, I said it before, and I'm going to say it 2 more times, I think, is that be interested instead of interesting, because that turns off the chat button, right? If you're not trying to impress people or whatever, and you can turn off the chat button because you're focused and interested in them, it really, really helps. And this is something I've had to really, really work on hard. Huh, Mary? She knows me well. All right. Thanks, Sherry. Okay, here's a resource, and this is what the drawing's going to be. You guys all, you're going to love this. So you guys all have these little drawing cards, and you're going to make sure you want to fill these out, because we're not going to talk about DISC at a very high level, but this is so important in connection. How many of you have ever attended a class that I've taught where we talked about personalities by the birds? How fantastic is that? What was helpful about knowing that information? There you go. You know more about other people, and it's fabulous when you know about yourself too, right? Because you get why you're reacting, and you need to appeal to people based on how they are and not how you are. If I could give you the most significant advice in connecting with others, it's to really get with them. So I'm going to give you one little tip about how to kind of size people up and know where they fit. And then one lucky person is going to win a fabulous book called Taking Flight, and it kind of takes on our way of looking at personalities, because nobody can ever remember what DISC means. But sure, if you'll click that, you'll see here in just a minute we have personality. So go ahead and click. You could tell by somebody's dress almost what they are. All right, so look at this. Click here. So if they're very casual, they're going to wind up over here in this green space. In the in the bird world, these are our doves, and they're teamwork people. If they had a theme song, it would be, "Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends?" They just want everybody to get along, and they're casual. They really like their shirt to be untucked. They always wear the, most comfortable shoes. How many of you know you're one of those? No, you're not that. Well, you are part that. You may be secondary that. All right, and then, guess what? Okay, who would this be? Is there anybody in the room that you would know would be the loud and bright ones? Raise your hand if you're those. Yeah. There's a whole bunch more of them in here that didn't raise their hand. I fall into that category. Particularly good in the role of sales. Those folks are particularly good in the role of sales. And they're going to be flashy. You can look around tonight, anybody with sparkles on, you can just bet they're a peacock, okay? And I think in our book here they call them parrots. I really like the idea of being a peacock better than a parrot. The C's... In our language, they would be owls. Now, here's how you know, and this is so important too. There's fewer of these folks. They're usually men and women of genius, and they're super organized, and they're going to be well put together. They're going to match from the top to the bottom, male or female. They're going to be on time. See, not you, Kathleen, right? But you're a good on time girl. And they're going to want lots of facts. They're going to want tons of data, okay? And they're going to want you to be really prepared. So it's hard sometimes when you've got those loud, bright people trying to sell to these highly organized detail people, because we're really most interested in having a great time. You're going to have a fabulous experience, and they want to know, and how long are we going to do this, and how are you going to get the food out then, and how much is that going to cost, and what's that look like per head, and does it matter if we come on a different day? I just usually want to punch those people and think, get me somebody else. This is not going to be fun if you're in charge, but it's going to be very organized. I mean, it's going to go off perfect, and I'm probably going to have a nervous breakdown before it's over. I love these people. Some of these people are my very best friends in life. So, and then the last one now there are a lot of you in here. There are a lot of these red power people in here. These are eagles, just so you know. My favorite one in the back went, woo, woo, runner. They love to win. They like to talk. They need to be in charge. Whatever they're telling you they're buying, yes, that's it. And sign here and get on about your business. You need to be fast. There's no BS with these people. The yellow people and the green people, visit, go to lunch, whatever you want to do. Those blue people, be organized and thorough, and let them know how long you intend to be there, and leave 1 minute before you said you were going to. These guys, the red ones, get in, get out, the cha-ching. They'll even pay the most. Just go ahead and charge them a little bit more because they need to win, and you might have to deduct a little bit for those guys. So there you go. There's the short lesson. If you'll fill that out and pass those to the end, at the very end of the presentation, I'll give away one of these books. My friend Joe Schumacher knows how obsessed I am. In my very early 20s, I got exposed to personality study, and it's made a big difference in my life with my kids, with my husband, with my friends, and it's just a great, funny little allegoric way to get through understanding it, and it makes a huge difference with you working with your staff. People need different things. Thank you, Sherry. So there you are. Just click, it'll show up. DI. Yeah, there you go. Ta-da. Okay, keep going. Yeah. Oh yeah, enter the free. I didn't follow the thing. Go again. One more little book that I think you ought to get with Connection, and it's maybe the best little sales book I've ever written. This little boy, Alex, was about 8 when he wrote this book, How to Talk to Girls, and I'm not kidding you. It's the finest 48-page book on selling I have ever seen in my life. If you'll click here in the connection process, Alex says, say hi to a girl, and if she says hi back, you're off to a good start. Well, duh. You know? I was having a coaching call this morning, and my little guy said, so what's my mindset? What should I do when I go to this networking event this week? I said, you go with the intention of making sure you connect with 20 people, and that means getting their business card, finding out what they do, but you're just going to have to walk up to them and say hi. He said, okay, I can do that, right? So keep going there. He said, most girls don't like a show-off, and and that's true. I'm telling you, it makes me insane to get with a salesperson that won't shut up about their stuff before they know anything about me. Isn't that irritating, guys? So I'm telling you, be interested instead of being interesting. Fantastic. Thanks, Sherry. Okay, my favorite part of the whole process is qualification. So this is that piece. This is the number one rule of selling in my book. In the trainer-tainment world, we say find out what the customer wants and sell them that. And we've tried to model that in what we do in our company, and we've tried to do that for companies across this country and even in Canada. They love us in Canada. By the way, where are my Canadians? I know you're in here. Yay. All right. Love you. Okay. All right. So ask only open-ended questions and try to avoid no. So this is your challenge for today. You can go out there and practice this for the next 3 days. Okay? Every time you ask a question, make sure it's open-ended. Even in your friend relationships, this is so fantastic because you're going to know more about what they think. How many of you have ever thought, oh, they're thinking, they're mad at me, or they don't like me, or they didn't like that? How many of you have had that thought and come to find out you were like 100% off base? You didn't know what you were talking about, and that's because you didn't ask. So qualifying is a brilliant thing to do, and if you can ask open-ended questions, other people will share more stuff with you. And it's cool. It's just fascinating to know what's in other people's heads. All the red people, all the eagles in the room went, why do I need to know that? I'm the smartest guy in the room. Move on. Right? Sorry. Go ahead, Sherry. So here are some of my favorite questions. And again, don't worry if you miss some of these. We've given you a couple of resources that you'll be able to click on with the PowerPoint. So one of my favorite questions to ask if I'm calling on somebody fresh and I've never partied with us before is, how often do you guys get to get away from the building and go have some fun? It's my favorite question to ask when I've just walked in, if we're prospecting with a new client, and going out doing cold calls with them. I've had this experience where we walked up to the gatekeeper and said, hey, how often do y'all get to have fun? And she did this. Never. I said, well, is that fair? She said, well, no. I said, well, so y'all don't do like a Christmas party or anything like that? And she said, no, if we ever do anything, we just kind of do it right here. And I said, well, how open do you think your boss or your owner would be? And she kept doing this. And I said, oh, is that your boss or owner right up? I said, should I talk to her? And I said, well, would you go see if she'd talk to me? She said, so she must have been a scary one. But it's fabulous isn't that a great opening question? How often do y'all get to do anything? Right now if you've even got a shot, right? And if they say no, you say, well, have you, had the opportunity to ever consider to go do, oh, that's closed-ended, so click. So how often do you go? How many people normally go? When y'all do an event like this, how many people normally go to these kinds of functions? Keep going. How do you decide where to go? Now, I think this is a powerful, powerful question. How do you determine where you're going to go? Where have you been in the past? What do you think where have you been in the past would tell you? What do you think that could let you know? What they like? You bet. What else? Huh? Yeah, what they've spent. What have they spent in the past? I think as bowling proprietors, we think everybody's looking for the best deal. And they're not, guys. They are looking for the best experience. They want to make sure they're getting plenty for their money. Go ahead. Be interested and not interesting. Tell me more. And go through here. Did you notice that in any of those opening questions, not one of them was about the budget? What does it sound like when you say, well, what are you looking to spend? Who does that sound like? Yes. Yes, it does. I hate that. Well, what do you want to spend? Well, I'd like to have the most car for the least money. If you want to make this conversation about money, we can. And then I go to another car dealership because I think that guy doesn't know what he's doing. So you can't do that either. Now, church group might call you and say, hey, listen, I've got about $15 a kid to spend on a group event. What can you do for me? Okay, so you don't even have to ask the budget question. They've told you. But if they don't do that, if they don't present like that, then don't you do it in the beginning. Somewhere after those other questions, you could say, listen, how do you determine how much to spend on an event like this? Isn't that better than what's your budget? Go ahead and click through. I think I've got a bunch of extra questions. One of the resources that you're going to have the opportunity to have is an outbound prospecting script that's got all these questions and a help for you to go ahead and get into somebody's facility and create the conversation, a networking event, or to do a cold call. Go on again. These are some of my additional best questions. What did you like or not like about having your event at one of those past places? Boy, that could give you a whole lot of info, right? About what to do right or better. What if they had a party with you a year ago and you're reaching out and calling those folks and saying, hey, you know, it's August is coming up and you guys partied with us last August. I'm so curious to know what you loved about last year's event and is there anything we could have done different? Wouldn't that be great to have that information and a great way to start the conversation about rebooking? Is there a committee that makes this decision, or do you handle the details yourself? This is a great way to try to understand, do you have the decision maker? Because when is that kind of goofed up your sale before? Has that happened, that somebody's talking to you, but they really don't have the authority to make the decision? And so there's nobody that can do the presentation better than you. How do you determine what to spend? And this is my favorite, the last one. If your event is perfect, what would that look like? Listen, when you ask that question, they'll just start telling you all the things that are important to them. And when you can understand that, you can sell based on that, which is their agenda and not yours. Make sense? Anybody have any question about qualification? All right, go, Sherry. This is in your PowerPoint, and so again, you'll just be able to click on these hyperlinks. It'll show up just like that for you when you go get the PowerPoint out at Bowling University. And there is a group sales qualification form and the birthday. So we'll talk about presentation. So I got to tell you, in setting up training and developing this training company, I didn't spend hardly any time on presentation because I thought, well, that's what everybody knows how to do. Everybody knows how to present because that's what everybody works on. You know, who's hired a new salesperson for your center recently? Okay, so I'm going to pick on you just a second. Before he or she, and how long is she working for you? 6 months. And did it take her a while to get going?
Yeah, like the microphone and stuff like that.
Yes, yes. He just picked on me. I appreciate that. Okay, yeah. That was funny. Ha, 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 ha. So it took her a while to get going. And was she pretty nervous about knowing the product and understanding what she had to sell? And
yeah, it wasn't talking to the people, it was more what to present and how to present it.
Right, how much things cost.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And so they'll get they'll get nervous and kind of trapped, and almost you intended them to be outside, and a lot of times they'll wind up inside because they'll kind of feel inside and in their office is what he said, because they'll be fielding the calls that are coming in, and they're safe because they've got you to go back to see, well, what's this cost? And they get real obsessed with what it costs and what it is and stuff like that, so that they will feel competent and confident, and they've got to have that. But I always think that's the easy part. And it is, but it's a stressful part in the beginning. So you got to have this. And I feel silly for not have put more emphasis on presentation. So let's take a look at it. Most salespeople want to stand up here, and just kind of do what I'm doing right now. But this is a presentation, not a sales pitch, right? So we don't want you to do that. We do want you to be knowledgeable and to be a product expert. Because what happens if a salesperson starts kind of hemming and hawing around about what you're talking about? What happens to you? Yeah, you lose the confidence, the trust that you were talking about, Lewis. All that breaks down. So you got to have this. This is a fundamental. Listen, you can look at it on real simple terms. A waiter, a very excellent server at a nice restaurant, they don't go out on the floor. They don't let them go on the floor unless they know everything about all the products. Listen, I think everybody in your center, especially your front desk people and the people at the snack bar and the people at the bar, they're all salesmen, whether you want them to be or not. And from a presentation point of view, they've got to have the power to do this. When you qualify right, what happens is the customer will begin to say, well, tell me about your stuff. And then you're invited to present. That's fantastic. That's way better than just kind of pitching all over them. So click, I think it says don't pitch, right? Okay, keep going. The best thing I can tell you, and I know some of you and many of you may have heard this story more times than not, but I can't share presentation any better with you than to share Esther Israel and my own Tupperware experience. When I was 24, I started selling Tupperware. I had 2 little babies at home, and in the new dealer kit, they had the Fix and Mix bowl. I bet some of you have a yellow or a green one of these in your home. It's a 26-cup bowl, and I, at 24 with 2 babies, couldn't figure out why I needed that bowl. And I wanted to trade it. And I went to my first rally, and they did demonstration and presentation every week, right? And I was so lucky because Esther Israel, who was celebrating her 60th birthday and had been in Tupperware for 30 years, I swear she knew Earl Tupper himself. She lived in Keys, Oklahoma, and you can't know where it is because nobody does. It's this big out in the Panhandle. And Esther, at 24 years old, I had the opportunity to watch a brilliant sales lady present in a way that has stuck with me forever. See, there I go. I hate it when I do that. So Esther was passionate not about Tupperware, but about what Tupperware could do for people. She stood on that stage and she talked about this bowl that I was confident I was going in and trading out for sippy cups and Shapo balls, right? But she showed me how this giant bowl was going to change my life. I could make salad all week and not put the tomatoes in it, put a paper towel over the top, seal it, burp it, and store it upside down. And I would have salad ready for supper every day and only have to make it once because that paper towel would, take that moisture. I thought, I am going to get skinny, and it was the best popcorn bowl. I could bathe my babies in there and they wouldn't drown. It just... What happened truly for me is that I caught that vision that selling and presenting was not about the stuff. It wasn't about the stuff we were selling, but it's about what the stuff does for the people we sell it to. And listen, what we've got, what we sell in the bowling world is so phenomenal. People go be social. They may or may not get off their cell phones, but at least they're doing it together with each other. They're competitive. They celebrate. They play. They share. Those of you that listen, I bowl in 2 leagues, and I bowled for 20 years. And, people die, and people get married, and people get engaged, and people break up, and, all that stuff. And you get to be a part of that. And that's what you're selling. You are not, I'm sorry, but you're not selling lanes. You're just not. You're selling why people want to come to your place, why they want to be in this community we call bowling. And when you can present it like that, when you can tap in and listen long enough to why they want to come and sell them on that, they'll say yes almost every time. Aren't you wanting to go home and plan an event right this minute? Yes. Say yes. Go ahead, Sherry. Presentation happens over the phone. They can hear you. I always say we ought to put a mirror by every single phone so people are nodding their heads up and down and smiling when they're talking. It happens in a brochure. Now, here's where I think sales and marketing intertwine. I think this is the only spot where I would say sales and marketing are the same thing. So your brochures or your flyers, they're selling or they're not selling. They're sending a clear message. If your flyer is just a price list sheet, you're focused on the wrong thing. That's not what they're buying. Would you agree? Yeah? Okay. Keep going. You could do it in a PowerPoint. Now, I'm real uncomfortable to go into a place and show a PowerPoint unless I've had a meeting where I understand what their needs are. Because if I go with my agenda and my plan and find out they want something different, no bueno, right? And I won't even turn the thing on. It makes me a nervous wreck to do a sales pitch with the PowerPoint unless I've had some kind of qualification meeting with them ahead of time and some kind of connection, and then I can tailor my presentation to them. And then during a tour, now this is my favorite way of doing presentation, and that would be to walk and talk people through the center. People want to touch and feel, and they want to get the real sense of what they're buying. So I'm going to issue you a challenge. Who's up for a challenge? I love it. Okay, see, these were the ones that wanted to succeed. Everybody look around again. Who's up for a challenge? Okay, awesome. So I'm going to challenge you when you get home to make a commitment to do 5 tours a week in your center. Can you imagine what would happen to your business if you were intentional about doing 5 tours a week? Who thinks you could grow your sales that way? Okay, go. We also think that at Trainertainment we have a program where people have big presentations. So we call it the Outside In program, and you invite 20 or 30 people in, and you have a little mini session of what we call play therapy. That's our version of team building, and that's a fantastic way to present. I mean, I guess I get that from my Tupperware roots. I always sold things in a party, and that was efficient. One lady invited all her friends, and I got to sell to all of them. So we happen to think that that's an awesome way to get people together and do a fantastic presentation. You can go again. I think there's one more. And go again. So finally, closing. Now, we could do a whole day on closing the sale. Can you share with me what you think what your greatest challenges are with closing the sale? Who would share with me what's hard about closing? I'm sorry, say it again. Overcoming objections. What kinds of objections do you wind up with?
It could be a scheduling conflict. It could be a day conflict. It could be they want to have it during a league night.
Sure.
Conflict.
Good.
There's several small ones.
Yeah, competition. Listen, one of our favorite questions in qualifying, and I didn't get that up there, but one of our favorite questions in qualifying to best understand that competition so you can overcome that objection before the close is to say, if you don't come here, where else would you go? Or who else are you considering? Ask it. Wouldn't you love to know if you're competing with somebody and instead of just trying to guess about it? Well, just ask, for crying out loud. Somebody else, thank you so much. Price, that can be an objection. But again, if we qualify up front, we're going to know that stuff and we can put together something that's beautiful for them. Any other challenges to closing?
Right away. So a lot of times if you're dealing with somebody that's not like you, if they're more direct, they want to close right away, and and they'll buy a car on the first visit, they'll buy a house on the first visit, and if you're not that way and you're more analytical, you'll think about it forever. And so, just knowing your audience, I think. That's
fantastic. I love it that you pointed that out. That's just brilliant, because as a salesperson you can get real frustrated and thinking you're doing something wrong with that analytical person when all that's happening is that they're being them, right? That's great. Thank you so much. Who else? Anybody else? Challenges with closing. Yeah. Yes. Brilliant. Did you hear what he said? Most people are afraid to close. We're so comfortable. We're chatty and we're having fun. And we're terrified that when we say, you want to buy my stuff, that they might say no. Right? It's like, guys, it's like dating, right? You make friends, you get to know each other, you learn each other's stuff, and then you ask her for the date and she has to wash her hair. It's horrible, isn't it? We don't want rejection, so we're naturally opposed sometimes to closing. So go ahead and click, Sherry, see what we've got here. If you don't close, we're doing just what you said. We're just telling people about our stuff and not selling. Does anybody know who Porky Pig is? That's all, folks. Well, that's always what I feel like. If I don't know, here's how I know I have fell short is if I don't know what I'm supposed to do next with this customer, I know I didn't close. So many people think closing is getting a sale, but there's a bunch of closings along the way here. You just definitely got to ask for the business, and I so love what this gentleman was saying in the back. If they're very direct, I think it's perfectly fine to say, listen, tell me where you are. We would love you to have this event, your event here with us. What are you thinking? What would be wrong with that? Did you see I didn't really say, do you want to buy my stuff? Because he could say what? No. If you're talking to one of those doves who can't hardly make a decision, you've got to find out what's going on in their head. So asking them, what are you thinking? What do you think about having your event here? Well, they got to tell you what they're thinking. Even better way to ask it, here's a slick, smarmy trick. Are you ready? Well, you got to have one, right? So, you could say, how are you feeling about having this party here? Because how are you feeling is way different than how are you thinking. How are you feeling gets to the emotional part of why they would purchase their business with you, place their business with you. What are you thinking puts them in their analytical brain and going through the details. So that's the big deal. I totally forgot my favorite thing about presentation, and so I'm just going to take one step back before we close here. You do want to be awfully memorable, and you're going to have some things that you say over and over and over again about your center. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like when you're taking them through those tours. You know, I did somewhere between 3 and 5 Tupperware parties a week, every night of my life for 11 years. And sometime during the presentation, after we'd got good and connected and really qualified who was in the audience, during presentation, I had the opportunity to talk about one of my favorite products, which was called Ultra 21. And you could make it, bake it, freeze it, serve it, save it, take it, microwave it, easy clean it, and it lasts a lifetime. And if it ever cracks, breaks, chips, splits, or peels, we'll give you a new one for free. How about that? You go ahead. So, I will share with you, I have not sold Tupperware in 11 years. But that was meaningful. And, you know, people would go to parties week after week after week after week, and if I failed to do it, they made sure I did it. So there are some fun, wonderful things that are pitchable in your center, and I would encourage you to not do them. Rocky at Mel's has come up with a wonderful rules wrap for birthday parties. It's fantastic. Is it okay for me to do that? I guess I should have asked first, because I'm doing it, right? Mel's Lone Star Lanes I just admire their business so much, and they have a fantastic sales gal. And Rocky came up with a rules wrap, which in essence is a presentation and a persuasion and a sales pitch to help those children who are bowling at birthday parties follow the rules. It's just fantastic. And so I would encourage you to find some of those fun kinds of things to do. It'll make your job fun. Okay, go ahead. So finishing up, here's what I want to tell you. Closing happens all the time. Closing is not just about getting the order, okay? It can be that. That's a way to close, and definitely that's the way we get money to the bottom line. So if you'll click that, that's a close, so you know you made it. Keep going. If you get an appointment to talk to the decision maker, you've got a close going on, okay? Because a close happens when a sales objective's been met. That young man I was talking to today about going to the chamber event this week, he said, what's my objective? How am I going to know I've won? I said, you got to get 20 cards. You got to get 20 cards, and you got to give out 20 cards. Put 20 in your front pocket and take some extra in your billfold, and you can't leave until you've given your 20 out and until you've gotten 20 and that you know something about those people in the room. His next objective will be to follow up with those, right? He'll have that objective. Go ahead. So if you get the appointment, schedule a tour. Some of you were brave enough to make a commitment to do 5 tours a week. I would love it if you would post on our Facebook, I made my 5 tours this week. I would love to know that you did that. Who would do that? We got a ton of you in here that are members of our Facebook, don't we? Raise your hand if you're members of our Facebook group. All right. Well, the rest of you can catch up. All right. Okay. So here's the deal. a lot of times, like, I think you should be calling all your past birthday parties and all your past groups and all your past bowlers. See, you call your bowlers, don't you? How many of you call your bowlers when it's time to start league? That's just automatic. Well, why wouldn't you call your parties and your groups from the prior year? That needs to be as automatic as calling your bowlers. And when you can do that, you're gonna get people that can't make up their mind right now. You're gonna leave voicemails and things like that. But what I am telling you is that you can't just put CB. That's our code for callback. It doesn't count as a contact if you just put CB. It's got to have a date and a time. That's a real callback. So CB with a date and a time is a real connection, and it's a close. You've closed when you've made that happen. And then there are a million other ways. You know, people, you can look up articles on closing, and you're going to see puppy dog closes. You know what a puppy dog close is? When they get to take it home with them, and they don't want to give it back. I bought a car that way before. No, just bring me the thingy, you know. In our bowling center, I think the puppy dog close happens in the outside in program where they get to come try out our product. I always like to give people options. You know, were you thinking about booking this event sooner or later? So there are some of those kinds of word choices. There are millions of those kinds of scripts written out there. And if you want to talk to me about those specifically, you can. I wanted to open up the floor because I think I have about 4 or 5 minutes. Is that right? Even though I got started late. No, I have 10 minutes. Awesome. So I'll open up the floor. Does anybody have any specific questions that they'd like to ask at this time? Yes, ma'am, back there. Say again? We're Trainertainment. So you can just look up Trainertainment. Thank you. Yes? That's a great worry because because do you want the same as last time gives them no opportunity to find out if you could sell them more. So here's my encouragement to you. When she's calling on them, go ahead and have her insert that question. Hey, I'm just checking on you. I know y'all had your event last year. Curious about what you loved and maybe what wasn't so great, so she can at least have some conversation. And then say it to her just like that. You said, oh, I'm worried she's closing too fast. Okay? Fantastic. Yes? That's a great question. So league bowlers, I think I'll address that first. I think we need to be talking at the end of spring, 4 weeks into the end of spring. I think we ought to start having the conversation with people bowling in the fall. Really loved having you so much. And bowling in the spring. You know, we always think bowling in the summer. We always think they're not coming in the summer, but did we do a very good job of inviting them? So I think the last 3 or 4 weeks of league is an appropriate time to do that. And then certainly calling them in mid-July to early August, starting that process for the fall. Birthday parties, I think you need to call 30 to 45 days ahead of time. And I would say with group sales, I really like 45 to 60 days ahead of time, if you want specifics. Thank you. Oh, I love that. So it's like they get to sample, and it's like they're almost getting to make the decisions what might be new on the menu. That's lovely. I love that. Yes. You're going to connect with them first, and you're going to say, hey, this is Ryan from the bowl, and delighted to catch you. I was hoping to catch you for just a second. Do you have a minute? Listen, how'd you enjoy Bowling League? You want to qualify them. How'd you enjoy Bowling League last year? We sure loved having you. Anything you'd change about the experience so that you get some qualification questions in? And then, we're going to be doing your league again at 7 on Tuesday nights. It is going to move from a 3-member to a 4-member. Just want to let you know about that. And are we signing just you up, or are you bringing some friends and family with you this year? Did somebody write that down? That was really good. Sorry, go ahead. Wasn't that good? I'm sorry. Go ahead. Same process. Same process. Connect, qualify, present, and then close them. It's the same process, and it might be a 2 or 3 minute process as you're going lane to lane. That's fun. I ought to think about that. Would y'all like a webinar on that? Yeah? Okay. That might be really fun. Somebody write that down. Other questions? Yes, ma'am. I think I have 2 thoughts about that. As long as it's Monday through Thursday, or even Monday through Wednesday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I love incentive-based stuff, but holiday time is so valuable, and we only have a few Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, and so I wouldn't do that for those time periods. I like it with Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I never like any kind of incentive on the days that are so desirable. I kind of like to charge more. I do. I know that may sound kind of greedy, but people are more than happy to pay more for Friday night if they can secure that. So I'd love you to be thinking of it that way. Yes, sir. I love to set an appointment. So if there's a phone number, I have the gut instinct to pick up the phone and call them, but you're right. They've reached out to me by email, so I'm going to be interested in them in the way that they want to be interested in. So I would say, I'm delighted to hear from you. I'm happy to get all that info with you. Would really love to set up a time that we could talk. What would be the best for you? I've got this time and this, and then when you're real specific about those time slots, they'll usually pick it. My biggest clue there would be to do like 10:15 or 10:45. Don't do anything on the hour or the half hour, because then they think it's going to take a long time. Even 10:10 is a better time slot than a 10 o'clock time slot. Thank you. Great questions. Anybody else? All right. Click here. Anything that you heard, go ahead and click to the next one. Is there anything that you heard today that you're thinking, I'm absolutely going to do that? Anybody would volunteer? Yes, ma'am. Good. So just a better way to know how to execute phone calls with the counter staff. Thank you so much. Anybody else? I heard this, and Beth, I'm absolutely going to make a commitment to do that. Yes. Exactly. That's right. You're always a loser if you mention price first. You absolutely are. Thanks, Kathleen. Yes. I love that. I'm glad you got that. She said that marketing is really telling, not selling, and that we rely on that piece of paper to do the work for us. Yes. Isn't that great? I think any of your Tupperware ladies, you can look up Tupperware and get one shipped right to your home, I bet. Isn't that fantastic? I love the product. 11 years I did that. Anybody else? Yes, Stuart. Yeah, and it's free. It's a wonderful tool. I'd get the book called Action Selling, too. He's got a great little book that's a fantastic follow-up. Yes. The buying that's right. People don't want to be sold. They want to buy. I wish I'd have made that up, but Jeffrey Gitomer said it. I should give him credit. People don't want to be sold. They want to buy stuff. I'm going to do something nutty. Please come see us at booth 364. We're going to be there the next 2 days, and if you'll click here, we're going to have this drawing, and I'm about to do something real crazy. Would everybody on my team please stand up? So I got the Trainertainment. Thank you. Yes. Because of you. Trainertainment, this is our 8th year of being in business. And the bowling industry has always been a crazy, crazy significant part of what we do. You made me feel good from day one about what we could do for you. And so for the first time, I've got the opportunity to bring my staff, and I want you to have the chance to meet them. And do you know what I'm about to do? We're having a big party Wednesday night at the Rio, and I've done a decent job about getting invitations out, but because you all took the time to be here in this class, I'd just love to have more conversation with you and for you to come play with us on Wednesday night from 6:30 to 9:30. I know Salute to Bowling goes to 7:30, but Bally's has a shuttle that runs down to Rio. We've rented the Masquerade Suite, and we're going to have barbecue, and I think I just gave the girls ordering the food a heart attack, but we're having barbecue and beer and wine till it runs out, and it just be my honor. If y'all want to come on over, 6:30 to 9:30, we'll be at the Masquerade Suite. We'll know the actual suite number. I thought there was only one, but we'll know the actual suite number. So if you'll come by our booth and see us tomorrow, we'll let you know. But it's my honor to be here. I hope you got something out today and it was time well spent. Thank you so much.